Hello everyone, my name is Simon Crowley. Today I will be talking about my essay proposal for popular culture and media. My essay thesis is social media sites and internet addiction and how it negatively impacts people's mental health. Alright, so before I begin my argument properly, I'd just like to kind of talk about why I chose this as my thesis and why I wanted this to be something that I researched. So for my paper, I was trying to think of something that connected with myself, but also had something to do with obviously social or popular culture as well as the world around me. And one thing that really stood out was just how much we use social media. So students, a lot of people my age are always on social media, always checking their phones. And it occurred to me that this can't be something that can be healthy 24/7. Yes, it's great to network and to meet people, but are these social medias really a positive thing? And that kind of raised the initial question with me. So I dove in and found a bunch of stats. So what I found was that there were two main studies that I wanted to look at. The first being an American study on how many students at American universities were using social media. And what they found was that 98% of students in two universities that they looked at were using social media or had some sort of social media account, which I find to be not exactly groundbreaking, but it's certainly an astounding number. To know that that many people are on social media. Obviously, we see it every single day, people using their phones and going on social media, but to know that 98% of a population is doing that is pretty ridiculous, and I feel like those numbers may not translate perfectly to Canada, but are fairly similar in Canadian universities. So now moving into my essay proper and the actual arguments that I like to make. The first is about how social media impacts self-esteem. Now, we see self-esteem impacted in a lot of other media outlets. We see it through television, we see it in magazines, where models and actresses and actors are changing the perceptions of young boys and girls and how they should look. This has to do with body image, self-esteem, and all of that. However, social media can do this as well. So the friending and unfriending, as well as the judgment that is placed on people through things such as Instagram or Snapchat, can really affect people mentally. And so the research that I've begun doing on this really takes a closer look at how self-esteem is impacted negatively by social media. So this research that I found is just one example of this. However, for my second point, I really want to tap into that, A, the idea of social distress through social media, and then B, depressive feelings or depressed feelings coming from social media and that social resource loss that occurs. So yeah, that'll be my second point for this essay. Next, I'd really like to tap into the idea of internet addiction and why that occurs and how that occurs and who it affects. So I found a few resources that discuss this already. Like I've mentioned before, the 2011 study by Christakis et al. Discusses how American university students are affected by the internet and how they often spend more time than they expect to on the internet. And this also has a lot of ties they've found to gambling addiction, which is obviously attributed with a lot of negative stereotypes. So the very fact that students using the internet are producing the same sort of characteristics as those people that are addicted to gambling shows us that there is clearly some sort of mental instability being caused here by use of the internet and use of social media. So I don't want to just project one side of the argument, obviously, with this paper. I want to talk about both sides, both the positive and the negative, and show why the negative outweighs the positive in a sense. Yes, there are good aspects of social media, like you can connect with people all over the world, you can talk to people at any time, you can make new friends over the internet. But what I want to examine is, are these relationships really meaningful? Are they really as important or as positive as the ones you would make in real life with face-to-face interaction? So I'll be examining that as well and contesting my own ideas with some of the positive aspects of social media as well. So along with discussing the positives of social media, I also want to talk about where we can go from here after this research is completed about the negative impacts of social media on mental health. What can be done to improve social media? And so a few of the things I think we need to do are obviously create more research on this topic, as well as make the public more aware of the impacts and the implications of social media on mental health, because it's something that we don't always talk about in today's society. And then finally, I would like to make the corporations more responsible themselves. We see all these big logos behind me of very popular corporations. I think they should take a little bit more responsibility as well as gain further knowledge and do the research themselves to make sure that they know how they're impacting the millions of people that use their applications. All right, so just to wrap up and just in conclusion, I myself am a social media user. I use it a lot. So I'm not trying to say that social media is a terrible demon that we need to get rid of. I simply want to just discuss how it impacts mental health, especially since mental health isn't something that we all necessarily speak about all the time, especially in modern society. So that is what I'm kind of hoping to accomplish with my writing, shed some light on this situation and see how we can improve social media for the future. So I hope this essay proposal has been clear and illuminating, and I hope to see you later.